All right, sorry for the delay, everyone. We just had a quick executive session to discuss some matters that are on the agenda for tonight. I will bring this meeting of the Cecil Township Zoning Hearing Board to order. To begin, my name's Kara Sheridan, I'm the chairman. We have Troy Gump, he is the vice chairman. Alan Barney is the secretary. We have two alternates that have made it a point to meet with us and attend this evening, which we appreciate, is Ted Donald, and then Joe Flaherty over to my right, or my left, your right. We also have Christopher Voltz from Tucker Aaronsburg and Liz Ross, our zoning director. And over to my right, Kathy Landock, our stenographer for tonight's hearing. First, if anyone who intends to speak at all, even if you think there's a remote chance you're going to speak, if you could please rise to be sworn in by our stenographer for tonight's proceedings. Thanks, everyone. We first need to take care of the approval of some of our prior month's minutes. First, we have the August 25th, 2025 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have minutes from our September 15th, 2025 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for September 15th.
I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes. Next, we'll move on to item number 3 on our agenda, old business. This is application 2025-0007, the Taylor variance. Do we have anyone in attendance who'd like to come up and speak? Please just state your name and address for the record.
Elliot Taylor, so property owner. So I don't really have much to say other than we resubmitted the documents with an updated by Barton Engineering or Barton Surveying. So the building's already there, and we'd like to keep it where it is. I think it makes sense, and it works easy for us with moving trailers and navigating. The alleyway in the back is pretty narrow. It's pretty hard to get in and out of the property. I went last Thursday and got approved for the site development plan there. And so this is a new process to me. It's not really what I do. So any questions, I guess, is probably the biggest thing.
So last time, and I think maybe someone else was here on behalf versus you, one of the things that we asked was if you could take some time with your whatever professionals that you need to evaluate other potential areas of placement of the building as alternatives. One of the measures or tests that we have to validate as part of our process is that you are requesting and we are approving the minimal amount of variance from the requirements as possible, and that we've evaluated alternatives. Do you have you gone through the process of looking at any alternative locations or speaking with whoever you would need to speak with on your side regarding moving the building to another location?
Yeah, Mr. Barton came back out and we looked at it again and talked about it. I mean, you could move it next to the building, but you'd have to remove part of the building to do so that's already existing there. Doesn't really make sense. It also makes it a little harder compared to the wall on the other side to get in and out. I mean, it's just kind of a carport anyway, so it fits that it would be in the parking lot. And it wouldn't, if you moved it closer to Georgetown Road, it would be hard to get in there because we actually, when we had the containers dropped off, to even get them off of a truck. So if you had anything larger than 16-foot trailer, which I do have a 20 and 24-foot, you're not gonna, it just makes it very difficult. You're jackknifing, you're just causing all more problems. So, and so we did walk through it a little bit there. If you moved it to the back of the building, you would need a variance. You'd be within 15 feet there. If you moved it, you know, it's 0.3 of an acre, so it's just not that big of an area in general, so.
I think that there was some additional testimony that, any other points, any other questions for the speaker here? I think there were some, Liz had put some thought into something she wanted to review with us.
Yes, I have a statement. Okay, section 404 of the UDO states that the variance procedure is intended to provide a narrowly circumscribed means. Yes. Okay. Section 404 of the UDO states that the variance procedure is intended to provide a narrowly circumscribed means by which relief may be granted from unforeseen applications, provided certain criteria are met. From a planning and zoning perspective, I question if this is an unforeseen application, or rather a lack of due diligence and proper planning. The ordinance requires findings be made to show that the 5 requirements are met when considering variances. I have not seen evidence to support the claim that this is an irregularly narrow or shallow lot for this district. The minimum lot width in the C3 district is 50 feet, and this property is 130 feet wide. The area that might be considered topographically unique is up along Georgetown Road, where the applicant has made it narrower by installing a concrete block wall. As such, I have not seen any evidence to support physical circumstances preventing the property from reasonable use. Rather, it would appear that the hardship has been created by circumstances or conditions generally caused by the applicant. Furthermore, I have not seen evidence to support the claim that the requested variances represent the minimum relief or the least modification possible. From a zoning perspective, there were 3 less impactful locations that stood out. I did make a sketch. I believe that those exhibit 3 options that are less impactful. The ordinance states that variances, if granted, shall not substantially impair the use of the adjacent property. But this large commercial garage is practically right on the property line of a residential backyard. It would certainly be less impactful to the adjacent residential properties should the structure be turned behind the building or moved closer to Georgetown Road. Also, the ordinance states that variances shall not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, but there are no other commercial buildings along Circle Way. There are only residential homes. There is one other large garage close to the road, but it was constructed in 1998 prior to our zoning ordinance. Again, the location would be more characteristic of the neighborhood if the structure were moved closer to Georgetown Road and the commercial district rather than so close to Circle Way and the residential area. Thank you.
Can I make a comment to that?
Sure.
The garage on Circle Way is definitely commercial, so I've seen commercial vans in and out of there. I don't know who owns it, and it's like a foot to the road. so it's definitely commercial. There's also a church on the end of Circle Way, so that's not residential either. The actual place that's behind me is actually an apartment building, so owned by Stanley Sadowski. Sadowski, is that how you say his last name? Nicest guy in the world. So, and I wouldn't consider that residential. I mean, it's residential, but it's still an apartment building. So,
But just to clarify, Liz, you said that that particular garage in question on Circle Way was built before the ordinance. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Questions, anybody?
Did you get a site plan? Did you get a site plan that was presented by Ms. Ross?
No. Would you want me to? Would you like a copy?
Mr. Taylor, do you
do you want me
want
to
to take a second to look over
you
that?
want me to
and-
comment on these?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the first one is moving it behind the building, which is there actually is a residential property on that side. And they just got their new sewer in, so I'm sure they wouldn't appreciate me moving my building there next to where their sewer tap is. So that's the first one.
So,
Far
sorry.
to the left, the one far to the left, I'm sorry. So that's behind the building. I also would need a variance from there because I would still be within 30 feet of the property line, so I don't think that works, so.
Wait, hold on one second. So if I'm looking at this first drawing on the left,
Yes.
the building is on where it currently is in orange on the left-hand side.
Yes.
Are you saying that the property to the left is not residential right now?
The property is an apartment building. There's like 3 tenants over there that live over there, and I've let them park on my property. They're fine. They're great people, so they seem great. That's the property owned by Stanley Sadowski. That's on the left side.
I guess the point of the one suggestion here is that, so with the building where it is, we would require 2-dimensional variances, one for the side yard and one for what we would that looks like the backyard but is considered a front yard. If it was moved to this other location, it would be only a 5-yard setback that would be required and no side yard setback being required. So by the letter of the law, like it's a lesser setback or variation from the requirements. So I think that's why that one was being suggested.
Yeah, I understand, but
Okay.
it doesn't fit totally with everything that was said either, that it not be close to residential and not be, I'm just, I understand where you're saying I could put it, so, but I don't agree, so, that one works either, and I don't agree that it's any different of an impact, so, as well, so. Number 2, I mean, you can move it down, you're still variance on the side closest to the apartment, so, and the other 2 are the same way, so. You're just moving them 5 feet this way and 5 feet that way, so 10 feet.
Yeah, I think that's part of the issue, right? We need to show that it is we're approving the least amount of variance from
Well,
the
one in
rules
the
as
middle,
possible.
the one in the middle causes hardship in the fact of I can't navigate the building because it slopes down as it comes down. The property does. So when you try to turn a trailer and go down, it won't go. It's not like flat ground, right? So it's not like a parking lot, so a flat parking lot. So when you go down, it's going to move. It to be able to park something under it. So it just makes it more difficult to use. So. And get stuff in and out of there. Probably impedes parking spaces and stuff too that way as well. So, I mean, we did think about this when we put it in. We just didn't realize we needed a permit because it's not a permanent structure just in the C3 village, whatever we're saying, even though we say the rest of the town is residential. So, is it C3 commercial village? Is that what it's called? So, isn't the rest of the town C3 commercial village? So, as well.
Liz, do you know?
Yeah, no, the properties on Circle Way are residential. The properties on Georgetown Road are commercial.
All the properties on Georgetown, so all the apartments and the people that are next to me are considered commercial, left and right. The people behind me are residential.
Behind you are residential, and I'm not sure about on either side. I have to check the zoning map, sorry. I know that there are several commercial properties along Georgetown Road, though.
Questions?
What are your issues with, I'll call it drawing 3, the far right? Do you have the same tractor trailer issues with location?
Is this moving it back, it looks like? I assume that's what it is.
It looks like it moves not as close to Georgetown Road as option 2. That's a smaller shift. I think green's its current location and pink's its proposed location. Am I
I'm
reading
moving
that
it further
correctly?
down. Yeah, I mean, it could be doable. I just have to look, like I said, if you look at the very corner of my brick building, you see where that is? It's a huge drop off. It's like a drop off. So when you back off Circle Way, which is, have you ever been to Circle Way? It's really narrow, right? So, I mean, when you guys were putting the sewer in through there, they had to use my property to even navigate, to be able to dig up the road. And so, but right there, it kind of drops off in that corner. So when you back a 16-foot, 20-foot trailer with something on it, you're losing, and it's just causing a little bit of an issue doing it. So it can be done, but it doesn't make sense. So
30-foot front yard setback, I think, and a 10-foot side yard setback. So you're saying if we were to... Liz, when you prepared these, would we still, like option 3, would that still need the same side yard
Yes.
variance or a smaller or larger or?
The side yard variance remains the same. It was just the front.
Because it looks like the pink gets really close to the property line.
I think it might have been angled a little to follow the line of the wall, and I do think the wall, crosses the property line a little bit there. So it could, I'm not an engineer.
And there was a wall there already, so there was already a buffer for the parking when the Sylvanian, whatever, had it, the dance hall, or whatever you want to call it. It was a bar underneath and a dance hall upstairs, I guess, I don't know, so. I'm just trying to move forward here. I want to be able to use these to be able to put stuff that's in the building in there, and then I'm going to rebuild the bottom side for my office, and the upstairs, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with it yet, but, I'm not even sold on this staying here forever, I need something to be able to navigate. I'm not spending, the whole area is not worth that much money anyway, no offense to anyone, but, I'm trying to do some of this myself. So, it's a little bit of a process because I need time and effort and be able to hold things. And so that's why I use those buildings there. And I was going to paint them and make them look nice. And we put a really nice roof on them. And, my wife would prefer to park under the dry than she would under the, out in the rain. So, and she's there if I ever get an office built there. So, which is something I have to hear about daily.
So here's the difference between what we would have to do in scenario 1 and scenario 3. In scenario 1, we would have to grant you 2 variances.
Right.
We would have to grant you a 10-foot variance to the front yard setback and a 7-foot variance to the side yard setback.
Right.
In scenario 3, we only need to grant you 1 variance for the side yard setback at 7 feet. We have no way of saying that scenario 1, other than you saying it's like not as convenient, we have no evidence or information from a developer or anybody that you're working with who to say that it's impossible to do scenario 1, right? Or scenario 3. So it's because in the letter of what is required of us, it says we have to explain why we're allowing for a larger variance than what we would perceive as being possible with a smaller variance. So what I would like to suggest is I'd be willing, and I'll ask everyone can give their 2 cents about it, I'd be willing to approve the 7-foot variance to the side yard setback if you would be willing to get it within the limits of the front yard setback. And then we're really showing that we are doing the minimal that's required for you to still have the building. Anybody else want to give any input on that? That's what I'm going to make a motion on. And if anyone wants to discuss it beforehand, feel free to speak up.
Of the 3 scenarios that were presented to you now, in your original one, you feel that your original one is the best system for getting your equipment in and out.
Yeah, it's the best system, and that's why we put it there. So, I had professional elemental shelters build this for me, so that we submitted the plans for all that, and they work with me on it, and it made the most sense for what I have and what I'm doing with my trailers and property and all that stuff. So, I don't know how much it's going to cost to move that thing 10 feet, but we can try, but we may end up just moving it off the property and put the property up for sale and find something else we can use. So, I don't. It's one of those things. It's a nice area. I like it there, but never would have thought that this would cause. It's just a little. I don't know. Most of my property is in Greene County, so we don't go through this process. So this is new to me. So.
Understood.
No disrespect at all. So.
If we were looking at the proposed sites, I'm calling them 1, 2, and 3 from left to right. And I'm going to go to number 1. What makes it so difficult for you to put the building at the back of your building?
We just would have to move it. I just have to pay them to move it. So it's just the cost of
So it's
doing-
just a cost, okay.
just the cost of moving it and seeing what that would be like. It might be $10,000. It might be $1,000, and they'll have to. The other issue with that, I would say, is there's grassy area there, which I'd like to keep as much grassy area because most of the property is gravel that was already existing. So when you do that, you're starting to impede with some of the grassy area, which we're dealing with another issue there. So with no grass in the area, I would like to keep it if possible, but because I think half that little area is grass and half of it is gravel. So but it could be done for sure.
So technically, Troy, I guess you're right, as the drawing number 1 is actually the least amount of variance we would have to give, because it would be no side yard setback and only a 5-foot front yard setback. So actually, that's the least impactful of all of the scenarios. So my apologies, because I said the one on the right was 7 feet, but you're right. It's 5 feet for front yard on the first one.
I don't even remember, what is it, 30 feet from Circle Drive or Circle Way I have to be?
Yeah, and 25, but yeah, I think there's a little bit more, at least in my mind, a little more flexibility that we can have with that, because although it is required that we consider it a front yard because it is abutting to Circle Way, it's really a backyard, right? Because it's not on the frontage of the property. So honestly, I mean, it's a little more easier pill to swallow for me because it's at the rear of the property to allow for, okay, well, technically we have to adhere they're both, your front yard is considered your front yard and your backyard is considered a front yard because of the fact that it runs against both of those roads. But it's a little bit easier to say, okay, I understand, we can give a little more in the back than because of the nature of the way that the property is configured. So I'm going to make a motion, and we can decide if we can't come to a consensus or we don't want to move forward. But I would make a motion that we grant a 5 yard feet. I don't know. I guess I'm not paying attention. A 5-foot front yard setback variance, so that Mr. Taylor could still have the garage on his property, although it would need to be moved to the location that was described here at the hearing by Ms. Ross.
You're going with scenario 1 here?
Scenario 1, with it at the rear of the building, would allow him to do it within a 5-foot variance.
I mean, there's no use voting on it. I'm not going to move it back there, so I'm just down. So at that point, I mean, this is waste of it. So I don't want to waste your time. So to me, it's one of those things. We did this. We put some thought to it. How much money I throw at this. At the end of the use, I need to use the property for what I need to use it for. So. The other ones seem like they could be more conducive. I'm not sure that I can fit. How far from Georgetown do I need to be?
25 feet.
25 feet. And how far from Circle Way?
25 feet.
25 feet. So, so without measuring it, I don't know where I have to be there, but that would make more sense. So, I've talked to Mr. Dowski. He doesn't have any issues with where it is. He likes it. He thinks it's a good fit for the area. So.
The only problem with that is that we have to, he might not be the person who owns that property forever, and we have to ensure that it stays within the way that it's owned, so that if someone wants to use it in the future for a different use, that it's still within the guidelines. The part of the problem, is that in that scenario, in the first scenario, you're right on the property line too, right on the property. You almost need all of what setback is necessary. You almost need us to grant the whole amount, 9 out of 10 feet or whatever it is. And that's okay, you might as well you're not somewhat encroaching into the setback requirement. You're entirely encroaching into the setback requirement. That's why I still think that that other option is a better option. So I made a motion. Does anyone else want to second my motion? I guess we don't need to proceed with that one because he's not interested in that. So I can withdraw my motion. Does anyone else want to make a motion?
I make a motion from the original application that we grant a 10-foot variance to the front yard setback and a 7-foot variance to the side yard setbacks to the applicant completes construction of the proposed structure.
To clarify the record, in the supplemental information provided on the 15th, they need a 14.5-foot variance to the front yard setback and a 9-foot variance to the side yard setback when they gave us new information. Are you comfortable with that being your motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Does anyone want to second that motion? Okay, that one's not gonna fly. So our only other recourse at this point is to, I'll make the motion to, let's see here. I will move that we deny the application for special, no, sorry, that's the wrong one, my bad. I move that we deny the request for the 2-dimensional variances. Anyone want to second that?
I'll make a second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
All those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, passes 2-0. Sorry, 2-1. We'll go to the next one, application 2025-0009, Soleil Christian Arts Center Special Exception. Is anyone here to present on the topic? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Danielle Black. The address of the property, 56 Birch Way and 0 Beach Street in Muse.
Can you just tell us what it, like, kind of give us just a brief summary of what it is that you're looking to do and what you come here to ask us for today?
Okay, so the property is currently zoned C3, which allows for the studios for instruction of art, music, and photography. And we were wanting to also teach dance classes there, which we thought was kind of a natural extension of the arts and music. So I also own Grace Christian Dance Center. We've been in the South Hills for 29 years. So we'd be wanting to move our classes from where we are now in Bethel Park into this building in Muse.
Can you talk a little bit more about the hours that you operate and how many classes and when they occur and how many students, et cetera?
Sure. So we hold classes Monday through Friday. We start around 3:30 or 4:30 and run till either 7:30 or 9:15. We have nothing on the weekends. We realize this is on the corner of a neighborhood, so just wanted to speak a little bit about that. We're a teaching facility. There's no performances there, so music is never above the level of the instructor's voice, so you wouldn't be able to hear the music outside of the walls. We don't hold anything outdoors. Our classes range from 4 to 12 in a class is our most that we have. And We have, the parking lot, square footage wise, holds enough space to meet the zoning requirements of 23 parking spaces. In most of our classes, the kids are dropped off, so we don't foresee any issue whatsoever with parking.
And at any time, what would be the maximum number of employees that you would have in addition to maybe up to 12 students?
We would have 3.
Questions, anyone? Okay, is anyone else here that would like to speak on this item? Okay, you can be seated for a moment. We might ask you to come back up and answer more questions, but go ahead and approach the microphone. Thank you. Name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Angela Carrier, and I own the former Presbyterian church right across the road on the building that is the subject. And I do have a lot of concerns. Thank you for bringing up the music, because that was my number one concern. I do work in finance. Most of my clients are evenings, so noise is very important to me. I mean, I sit on that corner, I hear everything. I have a bird's eye view of the traffic pattern since I've lived there for 10 years. I've seen the accidents, I've seen the fire trucks go by, I've seen, like I said, it is a bird's eye view. I walk my dog every morning, weather permitting, so I do get around the village. I just was on your website, and it looks like you have 22 classes a week, if I didn't count improperly. And I missed how many students are in per class?
Between 4 and 12 is what she said I have written down.
Okay, so we're estimating, roughly 40 cars per week going through there or more? I'm trying to, if you can alleviate the noise, if you keep, based on the name of the company, and I'm looking at the internet of their website, I'm expecting a lot of traffic in that little spot. And if you're not, since I live there, my biggest cringe is when school starts, is because parents coming to the school, they will come flying in from both directions, and then once they hit that 15-mile-an-hour zone, they drop it. But when school is not in session and after 3:30, people do come flying through there from the direction of the fire department. And it is blind there. When you get to that corner where the memorial is, you can't see past it, and you have to literally get across the road before if somebody is going to hit you. So my biggest concern is the traffic. I mean, it's going to be a lot. I mean, I see, being that I own the church parking lot since it's now my home, every holiday there's parking on the streets. I do appreciate the yellow line along from the memorial. That has helped eliminate a lot of the blind vision from the traffic at that intersection. And I also have, every holiday we have the Catholic Church that has the overwhelming parking. I have been blocked in my drive. I've never felt any need to call anyone or have anybody towed, because it's part of the ebb and flow of living in Muse. That is the Catholic Church. It is a beautiful part of the community. So, I expect that. My concern is having a lot of traffic coming and going, even if it is drop off, because I am the mother of 2 girls that are grown, and they were in cheer and dance. And numerous times over the decade, I was almost hit by parents coming in and going, because they're in such a hurry. They don't have any time management skills, and they just don't think about that. Now, I understand that they have their classes in Bethel Park, but if they remove their classes there and bring everybody over to our little village, that Birch Way is one way. I mean, it's a single lane. It's not one way, it's a single lane. And it's been recently paved, which is wonderful as well. I thought that was Christmas Day for me. because it's been gravel most of the time. But that's my biggest concern is the traffic pattern. I don't know if they've done any traffic maintenance to see, I don't know what the right jargon is, where you have you put lines out or cords out to check the
A
pattern.
traffic study.
Thank you. I didn't see any of those. But based on, my life experience there and what I expect, it's gonna be a lot of pattern. It's gonna be a lot of coming and going on that little path, especially if their classes are late in the afternoon into the evening. We're gonna have a lot of in and out there. And if they don't do anything with the driveway, there's gonna be a lot of gravel noise, which, myself and my immediate neighbor, he's had people that will literally drive into his driveway and turn around from the church pattern when they have the bigger services and things like that. So I can only imagine what it's gonna be like if it's on almost on a daily basis. But I'm against it personally, simply because of the traffic. You've been able to quell my fears about the noise, the traffic. There's just no way unless they have, 2 classes a week. But if they have classes almost every night of the week at that little spot, you're just asking for trouble, traffic-wise.
I just want to say thank you for your input. It was definitely light shed on it. Thank you.
Any questions?
Just a clarification. What was your address again?
It's 59 Birch Way.
And is your property zoned C3 commercial or is it zoned residential?
It's residential. When I bought it, it was either zoned for, not sure to be honest with you, it could not be zoned as a business, and that's why it sat on the market for over 300 days, and I just watched it until it finally came down to the price I was willing to pay. And I took the offer, and then I just donated the pews and everything inside to Habitat for Humanity and turned it into a home. Anything else?
Anybody? Okay. I guess I just want to make a comment here. If we said 4 to 12 students in a class over a 4, I think we're good. Thank you. Do you want to come back up and go ahead before I say anything?
Yeah, typically 4 to 12 in a class, but we do run 2 classes, staggered, but 2 studio rooms.
Okay.
If I could say that, trying to move this. Oh, if I have my parking.
Yeah, you're just saying it's at staggered times. So like one will start and then maybe 30 minutes later, another group comes. So everyone isn't coming and going at the same time? Is that what you're saying?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. But we could have 2 classes running.
Right.
Yeah, but the coming and going is staggered. And so this map here, the entrance and exit into the property is towards the beach view corner of Birch Way. And so yes, it would be across from your property, but not like in the middle of Birch Way. It is at the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
I do have one thing.
Go ahead, Liz.
Okay, this property is in the C3 district, which permits an art, music, or photography studio as a use by right, whereas in other districts, uses by right specifically includes studios for the instruction of art, music, dance, martial arts, and crafts. Obviously very similar, however, yet a clear and intentional distinction. The proposed use would include art, music, and dance, which I would consider in between the two from an impact perspective. I understand Ms. Carrier's traffic concerns and the intersection with Muse Bishop there. However, any use is going to increase the traffic there. Also, this location is uniquely located on 2 corners. So patrons visiting the dance studio would not actually have to go into the residential district, you know, abutting Miss Carrier's property. They wouldn't have to drive any further in
it's on the
either
edge of the road.
direction because it's on the
Okay.
corner of both Muse Bishop and Beach, and then also Beach and Birch. So like they don't have to leave this property, or, you know,
They don't
or
have to
drive
past
into the
on the
residential
residential
district.
roads. Okay, that
Yes,
helps clarify some.
The ordinance permits comparable uses by special exception, so I consider the appropriate request for this operation.
I want to make an observation on the record here as well. I think a little bit more detail as to what Ms. Ross is saying. We have two commercial districts that talk to this. One is a C2 commercial district or a convenience commercial district. A use by right listed in there is, as Ms. Ross said, studios for the instruction of art, music, dance, martial arts, and crafts. By listing those on a common line, it tells me those are considered to be similar uses. Unfortunately, in the C3 district, it simply cites art, music, or photography studio. So I believe this is a clerical error in the definition of the ordinance, because if they're the same in one district and considered the same thing, why are they not considered the same thing in another district? That's my personal opinion. Also, keeping in mind in the C3 commercial district, things like a bakery, bicycle shop, coin-operated laundry, daycare center, newsstand, florist, pharmacy are all things that are permitted uses, and I don't see that many of those uses are actually more impactful than what we're talking about here with the dance studio. Does anybody else have any other questions, comments, concerns they'd like to add?
I don't.
Come on up, Frank. Can you come up to the mic, please? Thank you.
Frankie Gizio, 24 Sycamore Street, lifelong resident of this alleyway and road. I understand Ms. Carey's concerns about traffic flow. I'm going to ask the applicant, have you maybe gotten permission to talk to the diocese or the Catholic Church or about parking across the street? A lot of people may feel more comfortable maybe parking in that parking lot and maybe walking their child across the street. The parking lot, I mean, I don't know what the requirements are for the parking of this place. It's probably not the best what I see. It's gravel. It's kind of tight to get in and out of. If I was maybe to drop someone off there, my first choice may be to park in the parking lot of the church, but I don't know if you have permission or have talked to them about this. I mean, you say your hours of operation are Monday through Friday, like with 3:30 to 7, and I think their masses are just Saturday evening and Sundays. So I think if you maybe ask them, I don't see why they might not be willing to, give you permission to maybe park there if you do get an overflow of cars, or you say it mainly is drop off. Okay, I mean, just a suggestion. I mean, you might want to talk to the church, but I mean, I don't see anything wrong with what you want to do, with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Anybody else?
I have a question on his parking. Did you have an engineer do this, or has this been something done by you by hand?
Yeah, I just did the square footage and just to make sure that we could fit those, but because we don't actually own it, I didn't want to pay for the engineer just yet for the lot. We just have a sales agreement on the building. So we don't want to go through with the purchase if we can't get a zoning approval.
Can
If you
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
if you buy that building in the other lot, you will have to go to the planning commission, and they will have to approve any parking lots and things like that. And it would probably have to be paved.
Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to make a motion that I move that we grant the application for special exception as described in the application and at the hearing, subject to the conditions set forth above. We don't need conditions, sorry. I want to restate my motion, please. I move that we grant the application for special exception for the applicant to utilize the property as described in the hearing and testified at the hearing.
I'll make a second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 3-0. Good luck. Last item on the agenda for tonight is, sorry, I have all my papers together here. Well, see, they already know they're on deck, so I'm just looking for my right paperwork. Where did my paper go? Give me your agenda. Sorry. Oh, I wrote on the back of it, that's right. Okay, application 2025-0010, Fairfield South Point Special Exception. This is 102 Cecil Henderson Road, Canonsburg, PA. This is in the C1 General Commercial Zoning District, and they're asking for an special exception for comparable use.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Kevin McKeegan. I'm with the law firm of Meyer. I'm sorry, Kevin, last name McKeegan, MC, capital K, EEGAN. I'm with the law firm of Meyer, Unkovic, and Scott. We're representing the applicant tonight. With me in the front row is one of the principals, Nick Brenlov. And in case we get questions we can't answer, we have with us Daryl Throckmorton, who's the engineer, and Keith Andrecco, who is the architect for the project. So, as you read, we are asking for a special exception for use of the same general character as one listed by right or conditional use in the C1 district. In this case, we are comparing ourselves to automotive repair, which is listed as a use by right in the C1 zoning district. That use is defined in the zoning ordinance as any land, building, structure, or premises used for general repair, engine rebuilding, or reconditioning of motor vehicles. The difference here is that these garages are not commercial in nature. In other words, they are not open to the public. These garages are designed for use by the owners of high-end or classic automobiles. These fellas, or ladies, and I happen not to be one of them, like as a group to tinker with cars. They own very expensive automobiles. They like to take care of themselves. They have the skill and the equipment to do so. And this is a use that's actually become quite popular in other parts of the country. And I started with these photographs, which you can see on the screen, which depict a similar type of product in different parts of the country. I think these are either from Florida or Minnesota. So what you have is a very well-finished garage. You have the tools and the equipment that the owner of the vehicle can work on it. You may also have some amenities in this space. I mean, car owners hang out here, so they like to have, maybe a sitting area, a place to turn on the TV and watch the Steelers if they're on that Sunday, perhaps even a small kitchenette or bar of the like. Now, in comparing comparable uses, what the ordinance says is that you're to make a determination whether the use is equal or less than its impact in certain areas. So it's our position, frankly, if I can figure out how to work this thing, that this use is actually less in all respects than your typical commercial automotive garage. There are no employees associated with this. There is no signage associated with this. The area will be secured with a fence and a fob, and it will be very secure, but it's otherwise really not open to the public. The type of products, materials, equipments, or processes that are used is similar to an automotive garage. You know, you've got oil, you've got spark plugs, you've got people who like to work on timing, that sort of thing. So, in short, we think while there are certainly differences between a commercial garage, what we're proposing here is in fact comparable and similar to an automotive repair facility, and could be approved by this board as a special exception under the zoning ordinance. So, we're happy to answer questions. If Liz could tell me, I could flip through some other slides here, but I don't know how to get back to the homepage. There we go, great. All right, so just quickly, this is a site plan of the site. What's outlined in red is the area that will be devoted to this use. The balance of the property is owned by Fairfield and is already developed. How do I go back? Minimize it? Got it. Okay, there we go. This is the second sort of interior layout photograph that we're providing. Again, some idea of the equipment that's available, the owner working on his vehicle, the type of cars that you would expect to see here. We have a front elevation drawing. It's basically just 10 garages in one building lined up side by side. And then one thing you do need to take note of is that the proposal does comply in all respects with the density requirements for the zoning district. So happy to answer questions, and that's it.
Can you speak to the building height and the building width and depth?
Sure.
Sorry, I haven't seen these diagrams yet, but
Okay. So the building height is going to be 1 story, roughly. Keith, maybe Keith, you could come up and address some of this.
Hello, I'm Keith Andraco. I'm the architectural consultant with Integrity Design.
do you need him to spell his last name?
Andreyko. The building height, it's a 1-story building with a mezzanine. The height at the rear, the bearing level, we have a 21-foot 8. And it's only we have it designed right now, it's just like a 1 in 12. So at the high side, we're about 25 feet is the maximum height for the roof line.
Is that so there could be a lift in those buildings?
Correct, yes. That's an option of, a tenant.
And then the width and depth of the building?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Width and depth, we are 45 feet deep. And the total length of the building is 275 feet.
Do you also have then, did one of the drawings show, do you have parking on the premises there for people?
The parking is provided on site, correct?
Okay,
But majority of the parking is intended
Right there.
interior,
okay.
Are these units going to be sold or leased?
leased. They'll be leased.
Are these bays individually metered electrically and water meters, or how's that done?
The intent is that we will meter these separately, correct?
And each, I think I saw in the drawing, each will have a restroom in the
So
unit.
we're planning for a single restroom in each unit. The mezzanine is that's going to be an option for the tenant. whether they put a mezzanine in or not. Basically a garage door and then a single occupant man door for exit and security to the unit.
And what did you?
It'll be subdivided according to the need of the tenant.
Not sure if you're the right gentleman to ask, but walk me through the application process. I mean, it says you're looking for high-end vehicles, but in the same token, you're also saying you're most comparable to an automotive station for repair. What's to say that I can't run a auto repair shop out of this facility?
Well, that's the beauty of leasing the spaces. Fairfield's going to control the use of these through the leases, and they're going to be limited strictly to owners of vehicles of that type who want to take care of their own cars. And we're not going to permit signage. There's not going to be any refueling or gasoline on the site. There's not going to be any, I don't think, Nick, any painting allowed on the site. So it really is, I hate to put it this way, it's really guys who like to tinker with their cars.
Can you talk to the security over the premises again? I'm sorry, you mentioned something, but I was thinking about other things that you were saying at the same time.
Yes. The site will be fenced so that it will be secure. There'll be a gate to get in and out of the premises. Tenants will have a fob to operate the gate, so it will be locked, and only tenants who have the fob who are leasing a garage space will be able to get into it. Also, along with that, there's also an intent to install cameras and security features of that type, but the real security is the fence and the gate.
I have a zoning comment. Yeah. Okay. This property is in the C1 district, which permits an automotive repair garage as a use by right. Additionally, this property received conditional use approval from the Cecil Township Board of Supervisors to operate a self-storage facility, which complies with the ordinance under conditional uses. And that was something that I had originally taken into consideration because in addition to the automotive repair, I assumed this would be storage. They would likely store these classic cars, at least at some point. So I looked at it as a combination of storage and repair. And I thought that that was interesting that the property was already approved to be used as self-storage. So while this is a new concept to the township, the proposed use does seem to be a combination of permitted uses, if you will, and the ordinance permits comparable uses by special exception. All of the adjacent properties are zoned in the C1 or C2 commercial districts. And the township engineer and I collaborated with them, when preparing this application as to which was the appropriate route to go. And we thought that this was the appropriate application for special exception. Thank you.
Thanks.
To Ms. Ross's last comment, it's hard to maybe make it out, but I put up on the screen the site plan, which has sort of a location photograph there. There's really nothing around this property of any substance. It's mostly vacant.
And those other buildings there are self-storage?
That's the self-storage facility, yeah.
And there's no plans to house any external storage, to house any additional stuff outside of the building, like campers or RVs or trailers or anything like that?
No, if somebody trailers, for example, trailers a car to one of these facilities, they might need to park the trailer outside temporarily, but it's certainly not our intent to store boats or RVs or anything like that.
I don't have any other questions. I think maybe, if we can take a couple minutes in executive session to just discuss some things with the solicitor, and we'll be right back.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I move that we grant the application for special exception with noting the following conditions. A, the perimeter of the site should be fenced with a minimum 8-foot fence and a self-latching gate. B, no storage shall be permitted outside of an enclosed building. C, no business activity other than rental of loft garage units shall be conducted within the site of the facility. All right, A, B, C. see. D, no hazardous materials or substances shall be stored in the loft garage units. E, adequate fire protection shall be provided subject to fire department review. F, operations shall be designed and maintained so that nuisances such as visual blight, glare, noise, blowing debris, and dust shall not be created. And G, oh, sorry. Where did I lose you? Okay. F, operations shall be designed and maintained so that nuisances such as visual blight, glare, noise, blowing debris, and dust shall not be created. And G, no signs shall be placed on the storage buildings or their rooftops.
And for the record, those come from the conditional use requirements for self-storage facilities.
And that's fine. The only clarification I would like to ask is this. The concept of hazardous materials, I'm sure Mr. Volz can speak to this, sometimes gets as big as this room. So if we could agree that in terms of things like motor oil, transmission fluid, things like that, as long as they're in quantities just for servicing a car and not stored there for in greater quantities, that would be permitted.
So can I revise letter D? No materials or substances shall be stored in the storage buildings with exception of motor oil, transmission fluids, and the like used to service the vehicles within the bay.
Thank you.
Is that good?
I'll second.
Wait, hold on, sorry, I'm not quite, did I say it all? Given the following conditions.
Did you do signs?
Yeah, did you get no signs shall be placed on storage buildings or their rooftops? Okay.
Yep, we're good.
With the following conditions, so that you can erect the units as described in the application and at the hearing, subject to the conditions that we just discussed.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
you.
Appreciate your attention. Welcome. Liz, do you want me to just leave you this part of the record?
Okay. Anyone have any other old business discussion, anything we need to talk about? I want to bring up one thing that maybe we seek to do. I did want to mention to you all that based on the prior solar panel issue that we heard in the past, I did appear at the Cecil Township Board of Supervisors meeting and requested that they add something to the ordinance to address solar panels, and according to Tom Cassiola, it's being considered. I don't know where it goes from here. It's kind of up to them at this point now. But I do have concerns that we don't have anything expressly written into our ordinance about that. And I took an action that I would speak to them about that, and I did do that, just so everyone's aware. Also, like this thing that we heard tonight with C3's verbiage not matching what C2's verbiage is. Like, I see a lot of these kinds of issues that honestly we shouldn't be having to deal with if we were consistent in our terminology and consistent in the way. And there's a lot of these nitpicky things because this is an old ordinance which needs to be reviewed just for identifying those kinds of inconsistencies. And I think we can start keeping a running tab of what we think some of those things are and pass that on to the supervisors and say, maybe look at where things just don't seem to make sense, right? And try to avoid making people from the community come in here and spend money to hear something that is really just a result of, someone not dotting all the I's and crossing the T's and looking for consistency. So I'll try to start making a running list, and then maybe we can discuss it in the future. But if anybody remembers anything that we've heard about lately and you want to send it to me, at least we could start with that and see if they can address it so that we don't have to force residents to spend their money to come here for something that we just think is a trivial, like, misunderstanding kind of thing. So.
Good idea.
All right. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye.